As Trump is being attacked and literally investigated, and the Democrats are getting ready to do another investigation into Trump and his handling of the coronavirus pandemic, a lot of people seem to forget that Trump was going against the grain and that Trump was getting a lot of flack for putting in the China ban back when everybody was saying the China ban was not something that he should have done. In fact, people are saying, why are you putting a China ban? You're doing this, you're doing that. And the World Health Organization was doing absolutely nothing but touting exactly what China told them was going on. They did no investigation. They just took what China said and said, yeah, here's what's going on. And that absolutely did delay things by quite a bit, by about a month and a half, all said and done. And all this going on at the same time that Trump is putting on travel bans and people are telling Trump, no, these travel bans are horrible. But yet, it is possible that Trump's travel bans may have saved some lives. It's quite possible. Let's read this. This is kind of long, but it does go into everything that the World Health Organization had said through tweets and things like that from the very beginning. So, no human-to-human transmission. That was one thing that the World Health Organization had tweeted. No travel bans. They recommended no travel bans. But they definitely did give China plenty of praise. So, let's read this. The World Health Organization has found itself with serious questions to answer after President Trump accused the UN agency of severely mismanaging its response to the coronavirus pandemic and withheld $500 million in funding. The World Health Organization has been spearheading global efforts to fight the coronavirus, but has come under attack for playing along with China as the country sought to minimize its initial outbreak and the threat the disease posed, which it did. From the very beginning, China had said, no, it's not that big a deal. In fact, in the very beginning, China said that there was no human-to-human transmission. Critics point to its uncritical parroting of Chinese government data. Not just parroting, the World Health Organization was literally a puppet on a string, spewing whatever it is that China said was going on, like some blind puppy dog or something. Early claims that the disease was not spreading person to person and praise for the country's leaders as evidence that it was not fulfilling its role. Trump, who is facing heavy criticism for his own response, has blasted the World Health Organization for advising against travel bans, which they did in the beginning, which he claims accelerated the pandemic all around the world and called for an investigation, which there should be an investigation. Absolutely. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. December 31st, China first reports a cluster of unusual pneumonia cases in Wuhan to the World Health Organization. And in fact, really, December 14th was really when they should have made the first report. January 4th, World Health Organization tweets about a cluster of pneumonia cases in Wuhan with no deaths, saying investigations into the cause are underway. But what they didn't mention was that it was a Chinese investigation. It's like, when there's police corruption and the police investigate the police, they're investigating themselves. Yeah, because that just works out great every single time when you investigate yourself, When someone accuses you of doing something and you say, you know what? Well, let me investigate myself. Give me a second. Okay, my investigation of myself shows no wrongdoing. It's the same thing. The World Health Organization issues its first guidance on pneumonia of unknown cause, saying there are a total of 44 patients and 11 in severe condition. The main symptom is listed as fever, with a few patients having difficulty breathing. Now, this is where the World Health Organization started, and they said a few times that there is no evidence of human-to-human transmission and that no healthcare worker infections have been reported. That was January 5th. January 7th, China says it has identified the cause of the pneumonia as a novel coronavirus, initially named 2019 nCoV by the World Health Organization. 2019 novel CoV corona Corona V virus. This is their tweet. China has reported to World Health Organization a cluster of #pneumonia cases with no deaths in Wuhan, Hubei province. Investigations are underway to identify the cause of this illness. On January 9th, the World Health Organization praised China. They were like the little lapdog waiting for a pet, panting at China's feet, for identifying the new virus in a short space of time. Oh, no, 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 no. China knew about this virus a long time. They've been dabbling around with it for a while. They'd been dabbling around with it for quite a while. And repeats its assessment that the virus does not transmit readily between people. It also advises against travel or trade restrictions on China on January 9th. It advised against travel or trade restrictions. So here Trump was going against the grain of what is supposedly the world-renowned experts on the thing, and they're saying, no, you don't need to put travel bans or trade restrictions or anything like that on China, and Trump did. And got a lot of flack for it. And now he's getting flack for what appears now in hindsight to be the right thing. The World Health Organization said it is now working with authorities in Thailand after reports of a case there and may call a meeting of the emergency committee. January 14th, the World Health Organization tweets saying there is no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission in China because China said so. Though later clarifies and says there may have been limited transmission via family members. January 20th through the 21st. World Health Organization's field team in China conducts a brief field visit to the epicenter of Wuhan. Also January 21st. The first case is confirmed on U.S. soil in Washington in a person who had traveled from China a week before. On the 22nd of January, a report from the World Health Organization team sent to Wuhan notes human-to-human transmission is taking place, but says more research is needed to assess the full extent. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. The report notes confirmed infections in 16 medics, a clear sign of transmission from patients. Yes. To assess the full extent, as soon as they had seen that there was transmission from patients to healthcare workers, they should have stepped it up and said, okay, hold on. Hold the phone. Let us see what's going on here. If there is a transmission from patients to doctors, we need to make sure that the world knows about this. Close your borders down. Let's try to start isolating people. And I know. Hindsight is 2020. The team recommends avoiding large gatherings, isolating infected people, and a focus on washing hands as the best way to combat the virus spread. The same day that the World Health Organization Emergency Committee convenes for the first time. Excuse me. Afterwards, Dr. Tedros says he has spoken with the Chinese Minister for Health and praises the governments for its invaluable efforts to halt the virus. He calls a second meeting for the following day. Yes. Nothing but praise, and nowhere does anybody put the blame on China like it belongs. And now the blame, in retrospect, goes first from China, second to the World Health Organization, it appears. With the emergency committee split, Dr. Tedros said he has decided not to declare the virus a public health emergency of international concern. Big mistake. Big mistake. Referencing the lockdown of Wuhan, which was announced the same day, he says he hopes it will be effective and short in duration. He praises China's cooperation and transparency in tackling the virus. Transparency, eh? I mean, it almost sounds like China and the World Health Organization, read from the same page. Dr. Tedros says there is limited evidence of human-to-human transmission, mostly among families or doctors treating the virus, because China was lying to us. Because they are scrambling to try to contain this thing, because they didn't want it to get out, because if it got out, it would cause investigations. Investigations would most likely unveil other things that China didn't want us to know. At this point, there are 584 confirmed cases and 17 deaths globally, including in Vietnam, South Korea, Japan, Thailand, and the U.S. January 14th, this is the tweet from the World Health Organization. Preliminary investigations conducted by the Chinese authorities have found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission of the novel coronavirus identified in Wuhan, China. Of course they haven't. Of course they haven't. When you are a guard in a prison and you search someone's cell and you find something, it never belongs to anybody. Nobody ever claims it. Nobody ever steps forward. What did you expect? He recommends screening at airports and tells countries to put testing facilities in place, but stops short of recommending a travel ban, which he absolutely should have recommended a travel ban at that point. Again, hindsight. I know. 2020. Dr. Tedros and other senior WHO officials met Xi Jinping in China, agreeing that a panel of experts should be sent to monitor the outbreak. He praises the seriousness with which China is taking this outbreak. If they were taking it seriously, then they should have given us all full 100% disclosure from the beginning. Especially the commitment from top leadership and the transparency they have demonstrated. Transparency. They're about as transparent as these walls. Dr. Tedros on January 29th gave a speech praising China's efforts to contain the virus, saying the country deserves our gratitude and respect. No, I don't think so. For locking down swaths of the country to prevent the spread. He notes a few cases of human-human spread outside China, which he says is of grave concern and will be monitored closely. If they were of such grave concern, then how come the world was still left open? On the 30th of January, the WHO Emergency Committee reconvenes early and declares a public health emergency of international concern, finally. It comes after confirmed cases of human-to-human transmission in Germany, Japan, Vietnam, and the U.S. A day late and a dollar short. And even still, they were praising China. Dr. Tedros again praised China for setting a new standard for outbreak response. Yes, a new standard. A new standard of low. With its lockdowns, and says the small number of cases outside the country, 98, is thanks to their efforts. No. The small number of cases outside the country, 98, is thanks to their efforts. Yes, if we just cut it off there, the small number of cases outside the country, 98, is thanks to their efforts, or their lack of efforts. And the World Health Organization helped as well. Despite noting that a majority of cases outside China have a history of travel to or from Wuhan, he again recommended no measures to curb international travel or trade. And that was on January 30th. He recommended no curb at all on international travel or trade. None. January 31st, Donald Trump announces travel restrictions on people coming from China. Bam. On the 30th, the World Health Organization and the experts said, do not put any restrictions on travel or trade. The very next day, Trump said, screw you, we're putting a ban on China. And he's getting flack for it. But he did the right thing in hindsight, didn't he? Anybody here disagree? In fact, he probably should have put the ban on maybe a little bit earlier. But what is he supposed to do? The experts are telling him different. The experts are telling him that there should be no ban. The experts are telling him that it's fine. It's a little bit concerning, but don't worry, you're pretty little ahead, is what the experts were saying. And then finally, even after the experts said, do not put any restrictions on travel or trade, Trump put restrictions on travel and trade. And got flack for it. But ends up, it was probably the right thing to do. February 3rd, Dr. Tedros gives a speech on the World Health Organization updating on coronavirus, saying there are 17,238 cases in China and 361 deaths. Now, though, to be an underestimate. Now thought, I believe, is what they were trying to say. Now thought to be an underestimate, yes. He praised Xi Jinping. Yes, go get your pets, you little lapdog. Go get your bowl of water and your treats. He praises Xi Jinping for his individual leadership and insists that cases outside China can be managed if world authorities work together and follow recommendations which include no ban on travel or trade. Again, Trump has already put in a travel ban. And here again, the World Health Organization is recommending no ban on February 3rd on travel or trade. No ban. Supporting countries with weak health systems, investment in vaccines and diagnosis, combating disinformation, and urgent reviews of emergency preparedness. But the problem is when they were combating disinformation, they were lumping in correct information with that. People were giving out correct and good information, and it was being stifled. YouTube. Dr. Li Wenliang, a doctor who first reported the existence of coronavirus and was initially silenced by China, dies from the virus. On February 10th, the WHO team of experts arrives in China to assist with the outbreak. On February 11th, the WHO names the disease caused by the virus COVID-19, CO, Corona, I, virus, D, December 19, 2019. That is its designation. Coronavirus, December 2019. Saying it avoided including a geographical name because it risks stigmatizing people. Yes, because feelings trump facts nowadays. Feelings trump your safety. Feelings trump your very life. It says it will not be using the name SARS-CoV-2 because it risks causing unnecessary fear by linking it to the 2003 SARS outbreak. It should have been the other way around because this is worse than SARS. It's worse than SARS, but they didn't know that back then. I know. On the 12th of February, Dr. Tedros said the number of new cases being reported in China has stabilized, but adds that it must be interpreted with extreme caution and the outbreak could still go on in any direction. Yeah. Because you just take what China says and you just absolutely believe it. Your past actions have proven that. February 16th through the 24th, the WHO team of experts convenes in China, visiting affected sites and sharing information on the best ways to tackle the crisis. Yeah. Meanwhile, they are discussing how best to stifle the news and stifle the information on the crisis as well. On February 17th, Dr. Tedros begins sharing daily updates on the coronavirus response, with each briefing beginning with an update on the number of infections, including from China, which are repeated without caveats. Yeah, China says, and therefore China does. China is somehow, for some reason, the actual, real, true superpower. Okay? The United States might be the strongest and the richest, but China is the only nation in which we cannot, in any way, shape, or form, be critical of. And we must always take what China says with absolute truth. What China says is God. What we say in America, no, we question everything from there. But what China says is absolute truth, at least to the World Health Organization and the mainstream media. He gave an analysis of Chinese data on some 44,000 confirmed cases. He says the data showed that 80% of cases are mild, 14% led to severe disease, and 2% are fatal. The disease is more severe in older people, with the young largely spared. He urges the world leaders not to squander a window of opportunity to get ahead of the virus and prevent it from spreading. You mean back like in early January when we should have been having the bans, when you were just listening to what China said willy-nilly without... Okay? Yeah. That was our window of opportunity. The window had already been left open and barred open and nailed open, and the virus just came in, made a sandwich, sat down, watched TV, and yeah. February 26th, Donald Trump announces a dedicated coronavirus response team, which Mike Pence will lead. On the 28th, the team of WHO experts delivers its first report on the coronavirus. Among its findings are that it most likely had come from bats and that it spread through close contact with infected people, not through the air, and that most common symptoms include fever, dry cough, and fatigue. And now we're hearing that it's, through what they call aerosolized, whatever the word is, spit when you talk. Little air droplets that are so tiny they become aerosolized and they float in the air for hours, as well as on surfaces and direct contact. The report, again, praises China's response as perhaps the most ambitious, agile, and aggressive disease containment effort in history, saying lockdowns were achieved due to the deep commitment of the Chinese people. Due to the deep commitment, the people don't have a choice but to commit to the Chinese government. The deep commitment. That's like saying an inmate has a deep commitment to the prison. The inmates have a deep commitment to the prison and doing what the prison says. They don't have a choice. They might fight and things like that a little bit, but the majority of inmates will just do whatever the prison says because, well, you don't want the consequences. Commitment. They don't have a choice. Commitment. Okay. Of the Chinese people to collective action and achieved a rapid decline in cases. Yeah. We could have a deep commitment too if we were a communist country that would literally jail you or shoot you just for speaking up against the country. The whole of Italy is placed in lockdown as the virus spreads, the first European nation to enter total lockdown on March 9th. On the 11th of March, the WHO declares coronavirus a pandemic, meaning it is spreading out of control in multiple locations around the world. At this point, cases have been reported in more than 100 countries. On the 13th of March, the WHO says Europe is now the new epicenter of the virus. After cases increased steeply, with Dr. Tedros noting more cases are now being reported every day than are reported in China at the height of its epidemic, because China stopped reporting correctly. March 19th, China reports no new domestic infections from coronavirus since the pandemic began. Yeah, it was like a light switch. Just, China had angels come down in just an instant. Bam! One day. No reports. Yeah. Sure, pal. Sure, pal. On the 20th of March, Dr. Tedros issues a warning that young people are not invincible to the virus, after data from outside showed large numbers of people under the age of 50 ending up in intensive care. You see how everything on this, the World Health Organization is saying one thing, and believe us, please, China's telling us it's good. China's telling us, human infection, very low, very low. China's telling us they've got it. It's okay. Travel bans? No, don't put travel bans. Trade restrictions? No, don't put any restrictions whatsoever. Go about your daily lives, but avoid crowds, but go about your daily lives. Don't put travel bans, but avoid some crowds. And then later on, their story just completely changes, but they still praise China no matter what. They still praise China. Why? Dr. Tedros issues a warning, March 25th, as Donald Trump begins touting hydroxychloroquine as a potential coronavirus treatment, WHO warns that no drugs have so far been approved for treating the virus. The same day, the organization calls for an extra $2 billion in funding to help tackle the virus. On the 3rd of April, millions of U.S. citizens sign up for unemployment benefit. 16 million. Was that the 3rd? No, I think that was later. That was the 8th. It was 6 million, I believe. 6.8 million on the 3rd. Dr. Tedros and the IMF call for debt relief and social welfare to help people through the pandemic. Yeah, and it was right about that time that Spain introduced an actual universal basic income, a one great big huge giant step towards socialism. April 6th, the WHO updates its guidance on masks to say they are effective at stopping the spread of the virus but must be used in conjunction with other methods. It comes after the CDC updated its guidance to advise people to wear masks in public. And remember, right before that, everybody was saying, the CDC and the World Health Organization was telling us, don't wear masks, don't wear masks. Don't go buy masks because we need those masks for healthcare officials, but they're not going to do you any good. And everybody was looking at them like, okay, so you're telling me not to go buy masks to protect myself so that way nurses and doctors can have masks because the mask won't help me, but it'll help them. Human nature, I know what they are going after. We need our frontline healthcare workers to be protected, absolutely. But at the same time, what they were doing was making people want to go buy more masks because they're saying, no, don't go buy masks. These professionals over here, they need the masks. And it's like if you have a clogged sink and you're using Drano and it's not working. And then you go and you look at a plumber and a plumber's got this liquid that you have never heard of and he pours a drop of it and boom, every sink that he hits gets unplugged. And you're going to be like, well, I want to use that because that's working for him. It'd be as absurd as if he came by and said, no. You can't use this because it won't work for you. It'll only work for me. Whatever. Okay. They kind of created, with the Streisand effect, people going and buying gloves and masks. And they did. On the 8th of April, following Trump's first barrage of criticism for the WHO, Dr. Tedros urges world leaders to stop politicizing the pandemic unless they want more body bags. Yes, Dr. Tedros, please stop politicizing it and please stop sucking off China's tit. April 13th, a group of scientists convened by WHO research a vaccine for coronavirus issue. Let me reread that. April 13th, a group of scientists convened by WHO to research a vaccine for coronavirus issue a joint statement urging world leaders to keep listening to the scientific community when responding to the virus. You mean the same scientific community that told us to not put travel bans and not put any restrictions, but yet Trump went against the grain and did anyways and probably ended up saving some lives? I'm not a supporter of Trump, but credit where credit is due. It is not about the person. It is about the position of office. And the President of the United States put a travel ban on China back when people were pounding him for it and saying, no, do not put a travel ban. So we're supposed to listen to the same people that have been wrong this whole time. I mean, what are you supposed to do? It's like you go to the hospital and the doctor's telling you something and the doctor's saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And in your head, you're like, no, 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 no. The pain is there and I'm going to do this and you're doing this. And then later on, the doctor says, oh, well, you know, you're kind of right. You were right. I was wrong all along. But listen to me from here on out. I'll be right from here on out. Well, you were wrong from the beginning. So what, you know, I don't get it. I don't know why people are not coming down on the World Health Organization like they should have, and why people are questioning Trump when he went against the grain and put on a travel ban. And people were lambasting him for it. The mainstream media was telling us, essentially paraphrasing, that Orange Man is an idiot for putting a travel ban on China. And that it was racist. So, I mean, what do you do? Anyways, I know this has been long, and you're a champ for sticking it through to the end. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one.